Good morning, Linda.
Good morning.
Morning to you. Do you still think of Britain as a Christian country?
Let me first of all say that when I was called this morning to be asked to go on this, I knew nothing about this so-called report.
Mm-hmm.
As an active Christian, I'm very proud of the fact. Why weren't we asked questions? Why did it all come down to our bishops and our heads of churches? We're the people in this country that actually go to church and actually hold with the Christian values. Why weren't we involved in this, whatever it was, report?
Yes. Your faith leaders were asked on your behalf, in the same way as our MPs are asked on our behalf to decide on policy. Faith leaders were asked for their opinions on these fundamental questions as your representatives. I mean, realistically, it's impossible to ask everybody of every faith their opinion. Do you see my point? But I know what you mean. It would be nice if you were listened to, Linda. Is that what you're saying? Yeah,
it would. Because as far as I'm concerned, Jim, this country has been losing its identity, its Christian identity, for years and years and years. We have been pushed further down into the floor from the other religions that have been coming into this country. This country is based on Christian religions, and we should be proud of that fact. We are having people into our country, and every time we are asked to do this, as Christians, we are looking at them as the Good Samaritan in the Bible. We take them in because it's our duty to take them in as a Christian country. But what is going to happen if we are so-called de-Christianised? Does that mean that from now on we are no longer obliged to take people from other countries?
You're framing this in a way that's quite territorial, Linda, if you'll allow me to explain what I mean. In terms of your faith and your belief, nobody's denying that you're perfectly entitled to that and to celebrate it in any way you choose and to worship in your own way. But the fact that we are, in this nation now, even more diluted with those of no faith whatsoever and people of all different types of faith means that you're feeling encroached upon. You're feeling like you're losing ground and territory, as I say, which clearly to you is I suppose at best unpalatable, at worst unacceptable.
As far as I'm concerned, Jim, you are saying that we are allowed to do what we want and to keep our religion alive. But what this report is saying and threatening to do is to de-Christianise this country.
Yes.
That means that my faith, not the Islamic faith, not the Buddhism, not any other faith in this country, is being dehumanised. But they are going to de-Christianise this country. And that, Jim, makes me and a lot of other people, and there is a lot of other people that are Christians in this country at the moment, very, very angry.
And if we term it in terms of those who practice their religion and actually attend their place of worship regularly, in terms of Christianity now, Anglican faith and what have you, we've got about 17% of Britons that practice their religion on a regular basis. Almost half of Britons now don't practice any faith whatsoever. So in that sense, Linda, you're in a minority, and as a result don't necessarily have a claim to stake your claim on that territory any longer. Do you see the point? I mean, the rest of the country is moving in a different direction, and whilst nobody's denying that you're perfectly entitled to that belief and to worship it, most people don't agree with you.
But can I say that don't you think a lot of Christianity has been lost because of the way society has gone?
Oh, diluted. Absolutely diluted, and indeed the nuances and look at Christmas as we are just weeks away now. Christmas is much more about Black Friday and what bargains you can buy and who's got the most garish decorations. Long gone is the message of sending peace and love and sharing a religious moment with your neighbour.
We should never ever have allowed Sunday working and Sunday opening into this country. That was the beginning of the downfall of people attending church.
Interesting point. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're far more likely to attend an out-of-town shopping centre than you are to go to church on a Sunday these days.
Definitely.
Linda, I admire your passion. Thank you very much indeed for speaking on this, particularly as you say, as you didn't know of this report this first thing this morning.
I'd like to read it.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of details on the BBC News website, in fact, as well as a full analysis from the BBC's religious correspondent Caroline White as well, which is really interesting, well worth a read. We don't do God, you'll remember, as Tony Blair's spin doctor Alistair Campbell famously told an interviewer wishing to inquire further about the then Prime Minister's Christian faith. But according to this report, we urgently need to, or rather as a nation, we need to understand religion and belief much better as a driving force within societies across the world in order to deal with its impact at home. But Christianity as a faith has been diluted, hasn't it, with the number of people believing other things, living, working alongside one another in this country today. So as a result, do we actually now finally put our hands up and say Britain is no longer a Christian country? That's not a bad thing. It's just the truth. It's just the fact of the matter. So is that something you embrace or reject wholeheartedly? 0116 251 1049 is the number if you'd like to come and join us. We'll take some more of your calls after 9:30. Sanjay's on the line next in Loughborough. Good morning, Sanjay.
Hi, Jim. You all right, mate?
Yeah, very nice to talk to you this morning. Do you think of Britain as a Christian nation?
As a Hindu, yes, I do think that Britain is a Christian country. I just want to go back quickly. The thing is, England was never Christian before. It only started 1,500 years ago because of forceful rule in the Roman Empire. It was never that. The English used to actually worship pagans and nature, like the sun and things, which makes more sense now, because without the sun, the earth would die out. So and mainly I want to just talk about there was a call earlier. She was talking about Buddhism increasing in the UK and Hinduism. The thing is, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, religions like that, they're not going to ever be a threat to England. And the thing is, even if we populate, we will always say it's a Christian country because it has been. Because we've got this thing in our heart that non-believers are all human beings. We're all the same. But the thing is, it's Christianity and Islam which has got the problem, because they're monotheistic faiths which encourage conversion. When you have a faith that encourages conversion, this within itself creates a religious war.
Yes, because it sets up conflict, doesn't it? It sets up, our faith's better than your faith.
Exactly, and that's the problem. And the worst thing is, these both faiths, Christianism is only within the 2,000 years, and the older faiths like Hinduism, but even Judaism is a monotheistic faith. But the thing with Judaism, which is 4,000 years old, it doesn't encourage conversion. Which is just one last thing. There's over 100 Christian countries on earth. There's 60 Muslim countries, and these two have got so many countries because of forceful rule. Hinduism is the oldest at 12,000 years old. It's only got 2 countries, India and Nepal. And Judaism, there's only one country, Israel. So this, within this self, you can just see what I'm trying to say here.
I can, but I don't. In part of me doesn't blame people of faith for wanting to tell others about that faith and inviting them to find out more and inviting them to join. You can frame it as encouraging people to join their faith or whatever, or recruit, or we'll say however you want. But actually, if somebody is of a deep-rooted faith and wants to tell others about it, I don't have a problem with that.
I mean, there is a problem though. Every religion is a set of ideas. It's a set of ideas. If that person wants to believe it, it's up to them. The problem is there's no scientific evidence of anything. So these are just, I can believe in Bugs Bunny next thing as a prophet and say Looney Tunes. I'm just giving an example.
Yeah. But as a Hindu, were you given any choice? I mean, you were born and raised in a Hindu family, I'm guessing, at which point you were in that way indoctrinated. You weren't given a choice about that when you became a conscious, free-thinking person, were you? It was just who you were.
Yeah, but the problem with this is, with Hinduism, when I went to when I was 6 years old to the temple, I came out of the temple thinking that every human being is equal and love and respect everyone. I don't have this thing about non-believers, and only Christianity, Islam have got this problem. But I will just say, this is a Christian country. We should be celebrating Christmas. I celebrate Christmas culturally, but I don't celebrate religiously. I celebrate because I love Christmas. It brings everyone together. I think it's good. I think it's beautiful.
Good man. Thank you, Sanjay. Nice to hear your perspective on this. I just need to catch up quickly with Terry Sanderson, who's from the National Secular Society and joined me now. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning.
Well, this report has really got us all talking this morning. I first of all would love to hear your take on the question we're bouncing around today. Is Britain still a Christian country?
Well, in constitutional terms, yes, it is, because we have an established church. But in reality, the vast majority of the population are completely indifferent to religion, and it doesn't play any part in their daily lives. And we all have a sentimental attachment to things like Christmas and carol services and Easter eggs and so on, which have come from the religious tradition. But beyond that, people just generally don't care about religion, don't think about it at all in their day-to-day lives. And we have to accept that is a secular society.
But do we need to move to a point where we define ourselves in that way, or are we not quite happy just continuing in this way, whereby we have this backdrop, we have this I suppose, the fact that Christianity is built into our DNA, the very fabric of the way our society works, and why change that?
Well, unfortunately, society is changing all around us very rapidly. We can't stop that. This is not a solely Christian country anymore. We have quite large minorities of other religions living here, and according to the last census, 50% of the population don't have any religion at all. So you've got to accept that, you've got to face that fact and organise the country on that basis. Just having one small denomination of one religion, that is to say the Church of England, having all these privileges, like bishops in the House of Lords and a third of the nation's schools under its control, that's got to be addressed far more radically than this report recommends. We've got to look very carefully at the way our society is developing, and in order to avoid conflict, which is growing all over the world and here over religion, we've got to accept that we've got to make some changes. We can't just carry on as before.
It's a brave politician that stands up and begins to unpick that, though, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's not going to happen, certainly with this government, and probably not the next one. But eventually, because of the demographics in this country, it will have to be faced. We will have no alternative but to face it. And we might as well get on with it now and avoid an awful lot of confrontation and conflict, which is going to be inevitable, I'm afraid.
OK, Terry, thank you. We'll leave it there for now. Terry Sanderson's from the National Secular Society. You're welcome to add your thoughts to those views. 0116 251 1049. We'll take some more calls between now and 10 then.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.